Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Movie Battleground. I am not Aaron Canole. I am Austin Pez Howell, ready to guide you through what should be a very fun another edition of the Movie Battleground here on TMG Entertainment. I am very, very happy and humbled to be your guest host for this evening between matchup between two competitors who are a little down on their luck, but they both have an opportunity here to get an additional win because they have very similar win-loss records, and it should be a really good time. Got some really good questions here. Just a few little show notes before we bring our competitors in and get things going. Got some really big matches up on the channel right now. If you haven't gone back and checked them out, we of course have our big last title match between Amaru Moses and Jay Burns. That one is absolutely a banger. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And we also have a match between, I don't know, myself and Henry Confidential, Henry Sanchez, which is a number one contender match for who gets to face the winner of that match. And I highly recommend that one as well. That one is well worth watching as always. So go check those out over on TMG Entertainment and the Movie Battleground. Great matches as always. But again, tonight's match, two competitors who are looking to get a big win here this evening. So I will certainly introduce them here one by one. Let's talk to them, see what they got going on. Introducing first, with a record of 1 win, 5 defeats, Kevin Freakazoid Moreno. How you doing, Kevin?
I am doing quite well. Excited to be back here, and I'm looking forward to whatever happens. Let's just say this.
Hey, I tell you what could happen. You could definitely have an opportunity to get win number two tonight. So, I mean, I know you've had a little rough luck here in the going. This is your first match of the brand new season of Movie Battleground. So, look at it this way: new season, new opportunities, Kevin. And you certainly have an opportunity tonight against your opponent. But yeah, your thoughts on the previous season, how you think you did, and how are you feeling confidence-wise going into this new season?
Well, past season, bad, really
Oh,
bad.
come on, cheer up, man. There's always room for improvement.
Yeah. There's always room for improvement. Like, just like a few times, I've not been right in the right headspace. Some stuff happened before the times, and usually where I just went, screw it. I'll just go offhand. Just just decided to
Speak from the heart, right?
yeah.
Speak from the heart. Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You are certainly a veteran competitor. You've got a lot of matches under your belt, so you're no stranger to the battleground. I mean, you know how the game works, you know how it's played. Any new strategies kind of going into the new season, or are you just going to kind of keep winging it a little bit, or kind of go with what you know?
I'm gonna go with what I know. That's probably the best I can do, at least with this.
All right, no, sounds good, man. Well, an opportunity here again to go 2-5 tonight, so 1-5. So I'm gonna drop you out and introduce your competitor. All right.
All right.
All right. And introducing next, Mr. Kevin's opponent with a record of 1 win, 3 defeats, the phenomenal one, Jonathan Peck. Jonathan, what's going on, my man? How are you?
Doing good. And my nickname is not because the reason I have 1 win of it. So do not let this could cause a mixed number confusion about it and for my nickname.
Hey, but
And
you got an opportunity to be phenomenal. Like I told Kevin, it's a new season, new times, man. Think of it
yeah,
as you're, undefeated now. So, give it your best shot.
and I know my record looks not great, but at the same time, some of the losses were done by 1 point possession. So basically, I could have won those matches, and even one I just did not do good. And look, I basically thanks of you. And no offense, but
Hey,
yeah,
listen, man. Hey, you just unfortunately, I wasn't really going to bring up you. Yeah, we do have history together. But you were the first of what would come to be a knockout streak for me. So I was on a war path that you unfortunately were just in the middle of. But you had some really good arguments and you had some good choices for the stuff you picked, and it wasn't easy. None of them were easy. You know what I mean? You're very confident in your answers, so I'll give you that.
yeah. And I hope this time around I have a couple of my answers, and I wrote some notes on my clipboard to help me do with some notes and my opponent's weaknesses. Well, I'll get to that. We'll get to the argument based on it.
Hey, man, that
So,
sounds good.
and I hope maybe different from my last couple of matches. I may at this time more, not to say more focused because I always focus on some of my matches, but a little more determined when I'm doing it. So I hope this time around I have will maybe get determined and probably fairly soon I might get over 500, even though if I even get 2 wins, not getting 500, but I hope enough I'm like closer getting to a 500 mark.
Hey man, every season brings a new opportunity. If that's your goal, man, you're only 2 wins away from it, and you could definitely get one of those tonight. Like I said, you could definitely easily go to 2 and 3. Somebody's going to get another win tonight. It's going to be either you or Kevin. So look at it that way. Somebody's going to get their win tonight. Somebody's going to make it happen. But let's get that off screen. Let's bring Kevin back in. And yeah, once again, welcome to you guys. We do have 2 judges in the background, Noah McCausland and Jake Tato. I will be the de facto 3rd judge for the evening. But before we get to that, Movie Battleground, of course, is a first player to 3 points, best of 5 rounds, each round worth a point. 3 out of the 4 get you a knock, or 3 points in a row get you a knockout, as Jonathan mentioned. But if we have a tie 2-2 at the end of round 4, we will go to a blind round question. All right. Like I said, we got Noah and Tato in the back. I will go to them first for each round, as I told you guys before the match started, and I will just jump in if needed as that tie-breaking vote. Does anybody else have any questions, or are we ready to roll?
No questions.
No questions? All right.
not really.
Set. All right.
After I defeated Kevin and get the little kitten off his shoulder to show who's boss.
Okay. All right, man. Well, let's battle. Let's get to the questions here. That's what everybody's waiting to see. And we certainly, as with every year, are right in the middle of comic book season as we kind of get the year started. We've already had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as of this. Shazam 2 is out right now. So we will go to the realm of comic book movies and ask the question, what is the best comic book film of the 2000s? Both of these guys have submitted an answer, and we will see what their answers are as I will drop myself out here. Again, pardon this. I'm doing this for the first time in a little while, so pardon the interruptions, but I will be ready for you guys as we get things going here. So as we do, guys, I believe, Jonathan, you elected to go first as the favorite on questions 2 and 4. Kevin will go first on 1 and 3. So, Kevin, you will be going first, and I will begin the timer when you begin speaking, sir.
For this one, I went with Iron Man, and I yield my time.
Yield your time. Okay. Interesting strategy. Well, all right. He's going to yield his time. And since I'm not very good with doing these over and over again, I'm going to let it run down. Let's just talk about Iron Man. So, yeah. I did not expect him to yield his time that quickly. Not exactly what I would have done. Noah's going to help me out with the timer in the background. Thank you, Noah. Appreciate you running it down. He's giving me the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Let's just say I didn't expect him to yield his time. That's all. So I'm just stalling for time. But anyways, regardless of the fact, his answer was Iron Man. We'll go over to Jonathan Peck for your 60 seconds, sir. And whenever you're ready, we'll begin the clock.
So I'm going to go in 2004's Spider-Man 2 by Sam Raimi. And the reason I picked this selection, when this question usually pops up, usually the top tier superhero films for me is really great and a standard of it around its time in the 2000s. And usually the first movie that usually pop up is Spider-Man 2. And not only is a great comic book film, but a great movie in general. It just brings like everything you like or love about the first Spider-Man film, then elevates it and makes it better along with it. Plus, it brings like a great sense of basically we're out of high school at this point, and basically Peter Parker's going to college along with it, and it brings a basically the real world normality to it. I'll explain more details when I get to the main argument. So, and I will explain my choice, and my choice will be Spider-Man 2.
Okay, and we'll let those last couple of seconds run down. 2 great movies, I can say, right off the bat from the 2000s in Iron Man 2, Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2, Jon Favreau's Iron Man 2. Oh, hello. That one jumped the gun just a second. I'll give you that 3 seconds before I start it again, Kevin. I promise you that. As we will, yes, get to our 2-minute solo pitch time. Hopefully, you won't concede your entire 2 minutes. That would make for a really bad match, Kevin. But we'll get things going here. Whenever you begin speaking, sir, you can begin your 2 minutes.
Okay, why I went with Iron Man is easily because it's one of those where it took something that at the time people laugh at, like they didn't believe, but it's you got Jon Favreau who pretty much came followed film after Elf, which was a comedy. You get you have Robert Downey Jr. After years of trouble that he's been dealing with, and having him be part of a comic film, which pretty much at the time was kind of a B to C-list character that no one knew. Only a few people that were lucky enough to actually see him from the cartoons in the '90s or in the way past of the Marvel Super Show. But along with that, especially the risk that Marvel Studio did have this be their first epic film to be as actual film studio, and to that and with that it became a smash hit. It was one of the surprises that pretty much at the time no one expected to be good, and it made Robert Downey Jr., Jon Favreau a household names, and especially with visually appearing, and it kind of people became noticed about this that why it became why this was my pick for the best super film of the 2000s, and I yield my time.
Okay, nice little expansion there on Iron Man there. So we will go over to Jonathan Peck, sir, to expand a little bit about Spider-Man 2. And sir, I will start the timer whenever you're ready.
The reason why Spider-Man 2 for me is the best superhero film of the 2000s is basically they took basically, like I mentioned earlier, what people like about the first Spider-Man film, not only did it better, but it elevated along with it. And also, the one thing about this film is it really stand the test of time in the sense when it came out. It didn't feel like a superhero movie. It feels like a character drama exploring the character's base and philosophies of every character's decisions and limits to show why they do what they do. Whereas the hero for Peter Parker and when the villain was performed greatly by Alfred Molina as Dr. Otto Octavius, Doc Ock. When the character itself, just before the character of Doc Ock, it was a goofy villain. It was basically too silly from a comic, and this performance could have been jokey, laughable as hell, and it was hard to overtop like Will Dafoe's menacing performance from the last film. Not only he elevated it and blew his performance out of the water for his portrayal as Dr. Octavius. And at first we begin to see him in the movie, he is basically a nice young guy. Even when people saw this film, even don't know anything about comic books along with it, and then we saw him in the movie, it just brings in as like this nice guy, basically just really help mentor for Peter Parker when he goes through for college. He has his job and he has an apartment to help look around along with it. It just brings him in here. But then when his transformation happens, and not only caused everything with his money, it caused with his wife, who tragically died along with it, and Brainsley lost his credibility along with it. It sort of a rise to fall again before the film progresses along with it. In the end, it's sort of his redemption at the end, and that's the reason why. Because Spider-Man 2 brings like great character moments, and brings in like a great sense of what the character wants versus what the character they needed along with it, and that's the reason Spider-Man 2 stand the test of time better than Iron Man.
All right. Nice expansion there from Jonathan about Spider Man 2. And we now come to my favorite portion, always, of the movie Battleground, the big time 4 minute open debate section. You guys can go back and forth on each other, but please do, once again, be respectful of each other's time, give each other a chance to speak, be respectful if you can while getting your points out there. I will begin the timer for the 4 minute open debate when the first person starts speaking.
Look, here's the thing about Iron Man. It really started the MCU, and I will not gonna deny that. It's still a very good movie along with it. And basically, really and here's my little drawback with the first Iron Man though. Downey Jr. was always coming back along with it. He just had Kiss Came Bang Bang like 2 years few years earlier before Iron Man came out. So he's slowly getting back to the people's consciousness, and people can trust him. He can work again. And even Favreau is more a top tier director along with that. Basically, with Alpha was a huge hit before Iron Man, and even with Thor earned a little cult following along with it. So he had some experiences along with it. And basically with Iron Man's along longevity along with it. And I think the only major difference between why Spider-Man 2 and Iron Man basically my feelings will elevate yours besides yours with Iron Man, it's the villain along with it. The little key difference and basically mine between yours is as soon as we saw the movie with Iron Man with Jeff Bridges show up with Obadiah saying, you know he's a villain right off the bat. When my film came in with when we meet Dado Octavius, the casual audience didn't know this might be the villain. It's basically just a fun, chill guy, relatable, nice to talk to, and basically just all of it. It's just a people crush it when he sort of the fall brings in like when he became along a criminal and basically steal rapper banks, all the great train sequence in the film along with it, and it brings it like this character progress and got it so low. Even the hospital scene, straight on like future Sam Raimi horroristic along with it. It even doesn't do it without blood. It just sound and then we even do it with no music. That's the thing with film when my villain got better than
I'm
Obadiah
going to
Stane
pause
and
the
the
timer
verse.
for just a second. Please give your opponent a chance to speak, Jonathan.
I was about to finish up. Sorry. I was
Okay.
just about to stop for a second. And that's more than Obadiah Stane we did in Iron Man.
I don't know about those. The trailers we've seen are like, to looking at them now, they seem pretty cheesy. Like the whole train scene. Okay, I'm like, well, it was pretty good. The whole after that, especially him kind of revealing his identity, I kind of was a bit interested in that because I thought that one was kind of dumb when he was like, "Oh, none of us will tell you." I'm like, no, 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 no. Some of them will tell them. They make no promises of that.
To be fair, they don't have cell phones, they don't have flip phones, they don't have film social media around Twitter around 2004. So I thought that part is kind of BS on that part though. So just gonna knock you down on that one.
No, I mean, no, especially some of them will be like, yo, I just saw Spider-Man Secret Identity. He had the face, like, I saw him, like, no, like, people,
That's more a suggestion to belief in my choice though. So yeah, on that part.
But I'm gonna say, like, people easily knew it was like, oh, no, it was gonna be like they knew something bad was gonna happen with that, with him at least, and the whole hospital scene, okay. While it does have the Sam Raimi trademark with that, some parts of it were pretty much laughably bad.
Laughably bad. That's a freaking terrifying. Even with it.
Was
That's
the
just
one
when people's faces. It was just when people were panicking, didn't know what to do. The suspenses of the suspense along with it. Even afterwards, he was just pain and agony along with it, and basically just like feeling was doing it. That was actually more tension right the we never had with Iron Man.
It was more terrifying. It was more terrifying when that same same scene was in Independence Day. But I was saying,
no.
Iron Man. Okay, well, yes, the whole Robert Downey with had his bang, but it wasn't as big of a success though. In fact, I feel like the whole Iron Man was actually a true personal story for Robert Downey Jr. himself, which kind of both fall parallel together.
Mine has more of a personal story, basically with anguish. Even when the heroes do the hero deed.
Time. All right, nice little back and forth there in our open debate. Again, in the future ones, please don't talk for too long. Let's have it actually be a back and forth, Jonathan. No worries. As going forward, just give your opponent a chance to speak. And Kevin, just cut him off. Just goddamn it, jump in there and cut him off like I would. All right, a little bit there. Let's get back to the individual portions. We're going to wrap it up here with our 60-second closing arguments. We will go back to Mr. Moreno. Your 60 seconds begins whenever you're ready.
Okay, clothing. Iron Man is the best comic book superhero for me of the 2000s. It's because it's a personal journey of Robert Downey Jr. And managed to elevate him into a star power, and he had this really great chemistry with not just Terrence Howard at the time, as Rhodey, but also when it's Paw Patrol with Pepper Pot, and Edgerton is actually really does play a perfect good foil for as what I was saying with him. And also the action, especially explaining the cave scene, is really one of the most amazing parts. Robert Downey Jr. is really amazing, and yes, it did kind of let start the MCU, but it was more than that. It helped elevate the whole comic movie genre to this.
And time for Kevin Moreno. All right. We'll go over to Jonathan for his wrap up about Spider-Man 2. Jonathan, I'll restart the timer whenever you start speaking.
So to me, what Spider-Man 2 stood the test of time than Iron Man was that they made the whole area of New York a character throughout the movie. The reason why I said that because you mentioned the train scene earlier, and after basically Spider-Man removes off his mask, the people crowding in the subway basically stand up to him when Doc Ock is like, he's mine along with it. Basically, those type of scenes along with it makes it like more kind of like not only a heartfelt movie, but also like brings it like more notoriety just for everyone can do it. Basically, it's just for like everyone wants to be. Basically, just try to not only stand up to it, but also like brings like stuff with a cost along with it. It just like you mentioned earlier, it doesn't feel like a superhero. It feels like a character drama exploring with deep themes along with it, where he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. When he finally gets a Spider-Man moment come back, it's just a little sort of a fist pump on when he gets back and basically brings in the end. So that's the reason my Spider-Man 2 sort of test of time.
And time. All right, there. A nice little opening round with two great answers from two competitors here. As I am going to drop you guys out now and bring in our judges to determine who gets the point for that one. So we will see both you guys in just a second. All right. Gonna bring in our judges here. There's Noah McCausland. There's Jake Tato. How you guys doing? How's it going? All
Pretty
right.
good.
Pretty good. All right. So I'm gonna go to. And I don't do a whole lot of fact checking. I would do more if I wasn't a third judge tonight. So I tried to focus just on listening. So you know, I do know Iron Man was directed by Jon Favreau, came out in 2008. I know that. Came out before The Dark Knight, did pretty well. And I do know that if it didn't do so well, we probably wouldn't have an MCU right now. So a lot wrote on that movie. And who didn't love the Nick Fury thing at the end? And I worked in the theater when the first Spider-Man came out and watched that movie become a hell of a phenomenon. But that's not the one we're talking about. We're talking about Spider-Man 2. All right, so I bullshitted enough. All right, Noah, who gets your point for this round and why? We'll go to you first.
I think I'm going to give it to Kevin just because he was able to bring up that Iron Man made Robert Downey Jr. kind of into a household name as well as Jon Favreau and really kickstarted the MCU and was the reason it became successful. It kind of gave stock a little bit more into the comic book movie, as well as he was kind of say that Spider-Man 2 kind of feels more gimmicky now and just kind of goofy and silly. I can't remember the exact phrasing you used, but somewhere around there.
Sure. All right, so Noah's going to give his point to Kevin. Tato, where'd you go?
I will say that these cats were pretty even when they were speaking, but Peck got to say more about Melina and the hospital horror scene and the character work and how NYC is a character. So Peck.
Okay, so it does what I thought it might do. It goes down to me for the third. I thought Kevin had a couple of strong points relating it to real life Downey Jr.'s journey and things like that. I'm a facts guy. Jonathan kind of just hit me with more facts about the movie here and there, just more stuff about the individual moments that made things happen, the individual performances, a little more of a varied argument that really hit it for me. So I'm going to give my point to Jonathan. So that's where my point's going to go. So congratulations, Jonathan. Again, I was hoping I wouldn't have to be a tiebreaker, but it is what it is. So I'm going to drop Noah and Tato out of here, bring back in our competitors here. And congratulations, Jonathan, on getting that first point. But the match is far from over, Kevin, as we are going to go into our second question here. Lots more Battleground to go. We're going to talk about a subgenre of movies that we don't see a whole lot now. We certainly saw a whole lot of back in the early days of Hollywood, 50s and 60s, things like that. We're going to talk about the historical epic. And really, you can stretch the historical epic definition to mean a whole lot of different things. It can mean a war movie, it can mean an old school period piece, Pride and Prejudice type thing. It really just depends, just kind of something kind of epic in scope. So we are actually going to ask the question of what is the best historical epic of the 2010s. So we're going to go to some recent movies here that may fit that definition. And what we'll do now is I'm going to drop myself out. We will bring back up the timer and we will see what these guys have for an answer. All right. Well, this one, Jonathan Peck, you are going to go first, 2 and 4. So you're going to start with your 60 seconds, sir. And I will begin your timer whenever you start speaking.
Historical epic can be very much very loosely. It depends how historical you want to get with it. So it depends on maybe the viewer's perspective of it and perspective when you're watching the movie. That being said, the movie I'm picking for this question specifically is The Revenant. The Revenant, directed by Alejandro Inarritu, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, Will Poulter, and the reason I brought this film up because why is the best one from that decade is brings like a philosophical interpretation of nature and human nature along with it because you think it's sort of like a nature versus human nature thing. Well, in reality, throughout the movie, and when the human nature, it's more dangerous just nature as itself along with it. And I mean to say that because the nature of it is freaking freezing out the film. I'll explain more details throughout the film, so I will go. My choice will be The Revenant. And I'll see my time with it.
Okay, so Jonathan Peck going with the Oscar-winning film The Revenant, the film that, well, I do know this for a quick fact check, the one that won Leonardo DiCaprio his first Oscar. So I think maybe personally he should have got it a little earlier from either Django Unchained or Wolf of Wall Street, but that's just my opinion. But we will go over to Kevin and see what he has chosen, sir. I will restart that timer whenever you begin speaking. Excuse me.
Yeah. For historical epic of the 2010th, I of course wanted to go with the World War One Sam Mendes war film, 1917, and I yield my time.
Okay, that's good. He's doing it again. Gotta love it. All right, so I'm gonna fast forward. Now I know how to fast forward that thing, so I'm doing my best here. I think I do. All right. Okay, there we go. I got it now. I know how to fast forward. Okay, so Kevin goes with 1917 and yields his time. So we will begin the 2-minute solo pitch. Back over to Mr. Pexer. Whenever you're ready, I'll kick that timer on.
The Revenant to me stands out because it brings like not only great performances by Leo, Tom Hardy, and Will Poulter, but it brings like masterful cinematography by Emmanuel Lubezki and masterful direction by Alejandro Inarritu because he brings in like not only the scope of the film, but it brings the moments, the tense moments of the film. And this is basically the opening, almost like a one tracking shot scene up the opening battle with the Native Americans. It also brings like one of the most talked about, the bear scene with Leo and the bear, and even after basically he was presumed dead, Hardy trying to steal some of the pills, which is sort of like after Leo's son basically caught him in the act with it and basically kills him along with it because he wants to basically get on alone on sort of dead weight. And after that moment of the film, it becomes like a great revenge film that basically avenged his son. Not only tried to get back at him and thought he was dead, but basically revenge of Fitzgerald, played by Hardy, basically for murdering his son. And brings about the movie I mentioned earlier, the nature and human nature element to it, when human nature is more dangerous than nature itself, and the environmental danger is just how becoming one of itself with nature. It brings like the blizzard, it brings a like when Leo had to go inside a cow meat along with it after a huge diving fall. It just brings like a more feel of tense and maybe quieter moments after we just had a tense scene throughout the movie. And basically, that's the reason, regardless of when Leo should have won Oscar earlier, before, or after, but he deserved around that point. And same thing with Inarritu, who Ali at the time won a back-to-back directing Oscar for Birdman like that. People thought it was hard to follow that up, but with the film, with The Revenant, he did along with it. So that's the reason Revenant sort of more stand out to it throughout epics around that time than more than 1917. But I'll explain the rest.
All right, and time. All right, a great 2 minute expansion there from Mr. Peck, and we will go back over to Mr. Moreno for his expansion on 1917 whenever you begin speaking.
Hey, the reason why I went with 1917 is I feel like we've rarely ever got a chance to see a film about World War One, especially this one, this one was I think a personal story with if I remember, Sam Mendes, that the grandfather was part of this war, and he wanted to tell kind of the story. And this is what I feel like this was more tense. This one is probably one of the actually most beautifully shot war films to ever exist, because I think if Roger Dinkins did a really amazing cinematography, interesting that fast, but not only that, it's was one of the movies about sending a message a truck from like that was happening in England that led to the change of that led to the cause of war, which gave it the win to England. But it's really so tense, especially with the epic one shot of him running through epic explosion just to send this one message, like super explosion, and soldiers running forward. He's running to the side, and how amazing it is. And I think there was more significance to 1917 than a bit of the Revenant. So I yield my time.
Okay, that'll wrap it up for Mr. Moreno. I'll just let that one run down for about 10 seconds. A couple more points about 1917. And in just a second, we're going to get into our open debate portion. And once again, just try to let each guy get a few points out there, throw it back to the other guy, having a little bit more balance. But other than that, we will get things going with the 4 minute open debate. Whenever the first person starts speaking, I'll start the timer.
Okay, so remember, I think it's a fine film. It's fine film. It's not Leonardo DiCaprio's best film. Then again, nothing can beat Chris 4. But I feel like we more reckon the Revenant just more for the Bear and Leo winning the Oscar than anything else.
Well, what do you say about 1917? When people think about 1917, it's mainly the one shot movie along with it. But even with then, there are some spots that like you didn't technically say in one shot of the movie along with it. If you want to bring that up to Revenant, I would bring that up so 1917 along with it.
Yeah, I mean, plus also, I mean, there was more. For like the movie felt like it was filmed like with one take. We don't know it. I don't know if it's for sure or not, but
Yeah, debatable. But it's debatable on that part, and I just want to get that put in the notion of that. And let me just say about Rabbit, it's really more than just Leo and the Bear and him winning an Oscar. If you want to tell me there's more than that, it's all about the great cinematography, the great acting in the film, and Ritu's direction along with it. He brings you right here, and in the filming itself, it's fits the film. Like even at the stories all throughout the movie, and it's just basically just hard to make it though the freezing weather conditions along with it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that none of them have ammonia after the making of it. They had to basically just want to get the authenticness when they were on the frontier around that time along with it. It's to craftsmanship and detailing to throughout the film more when I mentioned the human nature along with it brings it more than 1917 is. And then the little key difference between my film and 1917 is when the other character or the brother gets killed off in the film, we lead out to the other character when that throughout the time, it just kind of stand there and basically sort of winging it along with it. We got a little more on that than the other brother. Well, once he gets killed off, it was just never there. And you mentioned all the World War One films along with it, all crying the Western Front. the latest one from Netflix has done a way better job depicting World War One than 1917 did. It's still a good film. I'm not going to deny it, but I felt like that film, it doesn't have sort of breadth analogy that's throughout the whole around World War One. But my shows was about the historical, when the frontier stages when The Revenant did.
Well, yes, and also when you explain all the stuff about all the events that happened during the filming, yes, those were good, like led to a great film. But yes, all the problems were caused by Alexander Inarritu. It was kind of his fault for those kind of issues to begin with because he wanted to do that.
But sometimes the actors agreed along with it because, let's be honest, all the guys in the making of the film are tough as nails along with it. Leo, Tom Hardy, along with it. Those three guys that basically say, hey, we might get $1 million for this, but we're going to show not only the nature of it around that time, but also bring the coolness along. And let me just mention about Tom Hardy for a second. Thank God you brought that up. He is basically like an evil asshole in the film. And I will argue outshine DiCaprio's many scenes in the movie. He brings up like basically the menace to him along with it. Even that final battle with him and Leo, basically his fingers cut off, and basically his final confrontation, just talking shit into him. So basically, that's a very tense scene, and really does in the film than what we had in 1917.
I don't know. It's like Tom Hardy was more in a tense scene in Mad Max Fury Road than The Revenant. Even though both came out the same year.
That's part of subjective on that part, though. Even when it's more Charlize's film than he did, but that's not the point. That's more the process of him in that year, though. So that's a bit subjective on that part.
And time.
I don't know what that. And on that one though.
A nice little sound effect button. We'll clip that, and I'll keep it in the sound effects log for any future episodes.
You're welcome.
In 2 seconds.
All good. All right, that'll do it for the debate portion. We're going to go back to our closing arguments. Each guy will have 60 seconds to hopefully wrap it up, see if they can score some more points with the judges. And we will go back to Jonathan Peck, sir. You'll be up first for your closing argument whenever you can begin speaking.
So my final argument about The Revenant is basically say, oh, it's just Leo getting attacked in a bear movie. It just basically this whole time neither can win in the Oscar. But that's way more than that. It's more than basically like the journey he's going through from the movie with the revenge and avenging his son. And basically during the process of getting back to him, it's sort of like went to sort of like how he met the surrogate wife he met. Is sort of like how he sort of connected with his son. There's some flashbacks with it. It brings it like basically to complexity along with it. And also it was shown, like I mentioned earlier, with Tom Hardy and this sort of complexity with Will Poulter's character, basically sort of not only going along with it, but very eerie away with it after he's done the horrible deed. It brings it like a great acting along with it. It would just like bring craftsmanship direction by Inarritu. It just brings like a little bit more restraint and a little bit calm mode throughout the film. But even 1917 is more go, fast pace along with it than my film did.
All right, and time for Mr. Peck. Kevin Moreno, bounce back to you for your final 60 seconds, sir.
Including White Knight 17, I think it's a better historical epic of is. I feel like it is like a really tense World War I film. It's but Sam did an amazing job directing this film, especially really it. What felt like a bit personal to him. It also led to not just with Keskin, I think an actor, but also using well talented actors like Tom Hiddleston, Brent Cumberbatch, Mark Strong, especially in these specific type of appearances. The guy worked well with them. And it's actually more tense than expected. Like there is a cyber scene, parsing the bridge during the bridge scene. It's really intense. I feel like this is really big. Really one of the best historical epics, and I yield my time.
All right. He's going to yield that 0 seconds. I can always appreciate that. All right. And all right, there we go. We're going to wrap things up for question number 2. Good round there. 2 really good answers. 2 good back and forth points. All right, I'm going to drop you guys out, bring back our judges here, and we will see who won that round is I will first bring in Jake Tato, then I will bring in Noah McCausland. Again, not too much fact checks off the top of my head. I do that in 1917 wasn't all shot in just one take. I mean, that's a technique they use to shoot certain movies. They make it look like one, but there are some very strategic cuts. I think it'd be very difficult to film like a $100 million movie in one take. That would take a lot because if one guy screws up their line, I think they're going to be in a heap of trouble, and that's really hard to get down. But yeah, both great movies nonetheless, both great sequences. I think Revenant even has sort of that opening is like kind of a one take sequence, sort of, at least shot like that as well. But yeah, good stuff there. Let's go to Tato first instead of Noah and see who he gave the point to.
Once again, the back and forth was pretty even, but I just got more from Peck. The follow up for Inuyutu, like the revenge story, the nature, he painted good scenes, pointed out the acting, the cinematography. Peck.
Okay. Tato gives it to Peck. What about you, Noah?
This time I'm actually going to agree with Mr. Tato over here. I'm going to go with Jonathan as well, just because he was able to bring more. And I felt like he got very specific when he needed to be and just brought out more that supported his argument. And I feel like Kevin wasn't able to support his argument as well as Peck was. So.
Okay, well, it doesn't have to go to me this time because it is 2 points for Mr. Peck. Thank you guys very much for your input, and I will drop you guys out and bring back in our competitors once again. All right, 2 points to nothing for you guys. Again, Kevin, don't give up. There are still 2 more questions to go. You can certainly get right back in the game with this next one. But if Jonathan does get the next one, it will be a KO. Just keep that in mind as we will get to our third question here. And our third question might be my favorite one of your guys' lineup here. Just a fun little different kind of question. We have a new movie in theaters right now called 65 with Adam Driver. Features, and they really spoiled this in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything, that he is from another planet. He lands on Earth, and it is 65 million years in the past when dinosaurs roamed the Earth. Would have been a nice reveal, but they told you that in the very first trailer. So, I thought that would have been kind of cool. But we're going to get on the subject of dinosaurs and ask the question that sort of relates to that. Other than the Jurassic franchise, what is the best film that features a dinosaur or dinosaurs in there? So nice little question there. I like this one very, very much. So I will drop myself out. Now let's figure out what these guys picked for this question here. This time we are on the third question. It will go to Kevin Moreno first. The other big question I have for this, will Kevin Moreno concede his entire first 60 seconds? We'll find out here in just a second when Kevin begins speaking for his open.
For the other best dinosaur film, I decided to go with Pixar's The Good Dinosaur, and I yield my time.
Oh, he did it again. Oh, he did it once again. Okay. He yields his time. I'll just at least put that up there briefly since we're going to go to Jonathan real quick. But he picks Pixar's The Good Dinosaur. All right. So let me see if I could just scan ahead just a tad. It's a little difficult to do. I'll let that one run down right there. All right. Okay. So we will go over to Jonathan Peck and find out what he answered. Jonathan, I'll restart that timer whenever you begin speaking.
So you're funny you mentioned other like Jurassic franchise. Way before the Jurassic franchise, Steven Spielberg helped executive produce basically a certain dinosaur movie, an animated one from the late '80s, but not with George Lucas, but directed by Don Bluth, and I'm talking about The Land Before Time. And the reason why I picked that is Land Before Time is basically one of sort of Don Bluth's sort of last big commercial box office hits, around the point before the films, along with that, just didn't get it. So he's sort of his last gasp was sort of like great big films made profitability, and the film itself is really around the animated film around that time. It's really fantastic, and though because he was coping with sort of a loss, we dealt with some characters like Littlefoot, Ducky, Sarah, Spike, Peachy, and brings a like more a humanitarian approach, a little documentarian style in animated form. I'll explain more details when I get to the main argument. So my choice will be The Land Before Time.
Okay, and that'll wrap it up for our 60-second portions here as we will go back to Kevin. Hopefully, he won't concede his 2 minutes. I would certainly hope he wouldn't do that. But we will see. We will find out very soon. As Kevin, I'll start your 2-minute timer whenever you begin speaking, sir.
The reason why I went with dinosaurs, I feel like we rarely ever see, especially for quite a while, like that's you. But we rarely see an animated dinosaur movie for quite some time, and I feel like this one is actually really quite unrated. Unrated because it's something in the story that we kind of never have heard in quite a while. Is ever it's what happens if the comet never hit when the dinosaurs were on Earth. Well, like what would happen? And Pixar did such a feeling an amazing job with that. But with especially like this, it tackles a bit of loss and also uh and also the bond between the dinosaur and the man. Well, he's a little boy, a little cave boy. Uh, but it also kind of tackled a personal issue that I think, especially I know some of this people go through. It's fear. Um, my like with Milo being lost, and especially finding its way to his mom, with his mom and brothers. It's really quite tense and emotional. Also a bit of time frightening, but also quite hilarious. And I use my time.
Okay. Kevin's going to yield his last couple of seconds there. I'll just let that one run down just a little bit, talking a little bit more about The Good Dinosaur. One of the kind of forgotten Pixar movies, but interesting that he picked it and makes some good points. All right. We will go back to Jonathan Pexer as you have 2 minutes to expand on The Land Before Time, and I'll begin the timer whenever you start speaking.
For me, The Land Before Time, it brings in like where loss and like I mentioned, earlier, it's sort of a coming of age story, but with dinosaurs. Like basically, we mentioned our main character, Littlefoot, and basically a brachiosaur, and basically interacts with this little Triceratops, Sarah, along with it. At first, when they first interact each other in the film, they just both like hate each other. Basically, it sort of mirrors basically what sort of like correlates as kind of like basically prejudice basically each other, basically their species. And basically when an earthquake happens and a huge T-Rex basically kind of cause of it right here, and also well my spoiler for Land Before Time, Littlefoot's mother died, and basically the earthquake has shed the dinosaurs throughout their families. So basically they sort of reluctantly work together and got to meet with other dinos like with Ducky, Spike, and Peachy, and brings like sort of like a little journey along with it. It's a little shorter, but it's more impactful when he comes through it. And I felt like Land Before Time for me, it just brings like sort of like it's like coming of age story, but it brings it like more a tough too. And the movie, surprisingly, is violent for a G-rated movie. Mine's more violent than basically a sort of a PG film with a good dinosaur along with it, which is none of it sort of terrifying. But I'll explain that in just a second. But Land for Time for me, it brings like sort of like Wayne's little scare moments, and basically sort of near the end when the dino just drowns to death and takes around with I think it was Spike basically pulls it down and thought he was dead this whole time, and it's just a huge emotional moment along with it. Turns out he's will survive, but at the same time, it brings like a more fearness along with it. Sometimes in kids anime films, sometimes we need to sort of mature and learn from these things. So that's the reason Land Before Time does very well, unlike the Good Dinosaur though. And it'll concede.
Okay. Jonathan will wrap it up there with just a few seconds to go. All right. And we will go to the 4-minute open debate section for these two dinosaur movies. Interesting that Jonathan picked The Land Before Time and not The Land Before Time 9 Journey to the Big Water. Okay. Anyways.
It's my honorable mentions.
Okay. Anyway. So we'll get to the 4-minute open debate portion. I'll start the timer whenever someone starts speaking.
Can I just
Okay.
say I find it funny that both our films have a parent dying.
Yeah. Yeah, both our parents are dead. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So go on.
I I don't know if we should
Nothing
okay,
else.
I'll go.
Yeah,
I'll go.
like,
Here's your problem for the Good Dinosaur. It should have been called The Bad Dinosaur because that movie is bad. It's really bad. The reason it's forgotten for a reason because the film itself, outside the visuals, the writing is bad. Is have a cushy plot. Is a really sort of like humans, sort of like the humans itself, basically like animals we've seen like 1,000 times before this movie. And your lead, it's annoying and screams all the time. It's unbearable. It was just nothing with a likable lead. And then
or
you know the reason why it got forgotten because there's another Pixar film around that year, 2015, inside I Blow This Movie Out of the Water, and another dino film from the Jurassic franchise. Well, this movie Out of the Water came out the same year. And that's the reason why, because that film's stuck in the development hell along with the many years of trying to get the story right. And once they get the story right, they did, it just fails and just doesn't work. And you mentioned when the Earth, when the humans, and a meteor. They didn't explore that along with it. And if they didn't hit the meteors, then why the humans are still like animals along with it? There should have been sort of like a neighboring rivalry. They basically do humans right now. This time rival with dinosaurs. That's for me the movie's missed opportunity on that. It just didn't 100% work. Well, and for Time mine works because it brings it like sort of like and sort of like hate each other. They're arguing with each other. It's the same like with kids in this situation. It's sort of like animated version, like even with like Goonies. It brings it like sort of like not just sort of like getting along with it, but it's just like when they work together, they will sort of achieve what they do. And at the end, and finally come to their mainland, and some of them reunite with their families, it brings a like sort of sense of relief and joy along with it, which I didn't even feel with the Good Dinosaur. Not that the characters are memorable to me, and when
I'm
they
going to
try to be
stop the timer
memorable,
once again. Please,
oops,
Jonathan, let your opponent
oops,
speak and me back and forth. Thank you.
sorry, my bad. This,
okay.
I was about to close. It's just mine more bad than Good Dinosaur.
Well, wait, what the thing? Like, it's just a matter of opinion, but I think it's bad. But yeah, it's quite really underrated, and it's still really good. Like, yeah, like, well, yeah, I don't see him. I never saw that's Milo. That's annoying. He's like again a little kid. Like he's just like a small dinosaur. Like again, who has fears. He was scared like to go like searching for around what was eating the corn, and of course he still feels a bit guilty because about that how his father died was pretty much his father sacrificed himself to save him through a raging flood.
And here's my thing with it, and I'll be okay with it. And like I mentioned, if the lead character is not his voice is grating, and he's annoying. And like I mentioned about the development stages in the film, was supposed to be a little older of a character, but I think they made a mistake to make him like too young for it because they're trying to make that story to work.
Yeah, and like it did work because like at the core you heard like something like say like a young kid like who pretty much lost a father, but
Half that story we had seen it 1,000 times before and after this movie came out, and some of it did way better than the Good Dinosaur did.
yeah. Uh, I think we once. Of course, we might have done like some of them might have done better. Of course, some of them did worse as well.
Yeah.
All right, and that's going to do it for the back and forth portion. We're going to go back to our 60-second solo times for the closing arguments, and we will go to Kevin Moreno first. I'll begin that timer when you start speaking.
Okay, in closing, why I think it's good advice for it's the second best dinosaur movie. But it was I feel like it's it's kind of like it's original like it's story it's still I don't see it as bad like or originally, but it's still an emotional story about that, and I feel like I've had experience with that with fears to go around, and especially with Milo interacting being taught how to, at least like it's no, you can't lose your fear, but you could at least still uh I get my time.
Okay. I'll just let that timer run down for just about 5 seconds here. Kevin wrapping it up for the good dinosaur, and we will go back to Jonathan Peck, who has 60 seconds for your closing, sir, whenever you're ready.
Again, basically, I mentioned my movie pretty much did something better than The Good Dinosaur. Is basically not only relatable characters, sense of fear, but mine does a little bit way better than his because Land Before Time it just brings like a more characterization with some of the characters. It brings a like sort of dark themes in the film. Like I mentioned, the prejudice of some of the dinosaurs were at the beginning of the movie, and even the me lead late dinosaur Acero basically almost unlikable throughout the film, and throughout the film progresses, it just brings it like without that though, she needs like friends and support along with that throughout the movie. Sort of like it was a sort of a great like um brother, brother and sister relationship with Ducky and Vici. It brings a like great thematics and themes throughout the film, and I was lacking the Good Dinosaur, and that's the reason Land Before Time for me is sort of if you talk outside the Jurassic franchise, the best film featuring dinosaurs of it. It brings a like great animation by Don Bluth.
Okay, and that'll do it for this question about those good dinosaurs, if you will, as I will bring myself back in and I will drop you guys back out. Let's bring in our judges and see what they thought of that for question. Drop you guys out. I'll bring in Noah first this time, who will go first in the voting this time. I just wanted to point this out. I had this within reach. I've got a big social media collection, as I kind of alluded to. I do have the Land Before Time complete collection. All 14 films. You read that right. There are 14 movies in this damn franchise. It's got half as many as the MCU at this point. I mean, this cinematic universe is something, man. It's got more movies than Fast and Furious movies. They crank these things out. Yeah, I mean, we got the Mysterious Island, the Stone of Cold Fire, Journey to the Big Water, Invasion of the Tiny Sauruses. I don't know what that is. The Wisdom of Friends. Oh man, the
We
titles
get it, man.
something. Anyways, sorry, just wanted to point that out. What a crazy universe. Okay, let's go to Noah. That's my fact check of the day. 14 Land Before Time films. Okay, Noah, who do you give your point to and why?
Once again, I think we're gonna have to give it to Peck, just because I feel like he's just got a strong grasp on his arguments for his film, and he's simultaneously able to build his film up and just tear down the other film just so effectively, in my opinion. And he's able to bring things in that are good about his film, but these same things aren't done well in this film. So I'm going to give it to Peck on this one.
Okay, point for Peck. Tato, what do you think?
Yeah, Peck rolled this one. The only point he didn't counter of Kevin's was that Good Dinosaur was funny, but he took away the comet hit thing. He said the loss and the fear and stuff were better in Land Before Time. He dumped on the Good Dinosaur while leveling Land Before Time Peck.
Okay. Well, once again, we don't have to go to myself. Thank you guys very much for your input. I'm going to drop you guys out here, and we're going to wrap things up because for winner this evening via knockout, Jonathan Peck, the phenomenal one, Jonathan. And, I'll talk to you here and let's get your thoughts on this. I actually want to, I forgot to add one thing to your thing here, 1 second, because that, sir, was a KO and your very first KO at that. So yeah, how do you feel tonight? Oh, of course, I got it.
Oh, yeah, because
I did that and I screwed that up. And see, I didn't put in what it actually was. You're 2-3 with 1 KO. Let me get that right. Yes, 2-3 with 1 KO, Jonathan. How you feeling about your performance here tonight, sir? First of all,
I feel rejuvenated. I feel like I need a little bit boost up in my last couple of matches, and courtesy of you, by the way. But and with that, like I felt rejuvenated, and basically I can sort of like re-energize and refocus on me, get my determination back. Along with that, I hope my future matches are doing the same thing to not only get sort of back in the sort of race and be capture like the big fish in the big pond, basically.
Yeah, totally. It's and I think you definitely proved that tonight. You definitely showed that. I saw the clipboard. Before the match started, you taking a little page out of my book, taking copious notes. I can tell. Trying to get those points out during those solo times. I can certainly appreciate that. But yeah, really, how does it feel? Not even just getting the win, but getting an actual knockout. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, feels very good actually. I find I sell it out, man. I can prove it to improve my might, basically.
Yeah, like you said, what does this do for your confidence now? You said you wanted to try to get to that 500 mark. I mean, realistically, you got the one tonight. You really just need one more, and you're right at that 500 mark, man. So what's that mean to you?
Yeah. And basically, I take a little more time this time around. Basically, more time, more focus, and basically want to get more little research and basically get some clear notes and details and counterpoints, so I can help my arguments sake in my when I debate in the future. So I will use that as more of a reminder along with it. And this match kind of proved that for me.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Well, again, great job tonight. Congratulations on getting that big second win. I know you were really looking to get it tonight, like you said, to kind of improve your confidence going forward and really take you and hopefully give you a boost going to, like you said, that chance to get that third win. Speaking of that, we don't have your opponent just yet for what your next opponent will be, but you do have an opportunity either to film in roughly May or June. Do you have a preference as to whether you want to try to get that win sooner or later?
Regardless if I get May or June, at least I have more time to study it more, think about it, and basically more I can prove for it, sort of a little game tape along with it. Regardless, my next competitor was gonna be if it my same record as me or even below me, basically. So that's how I will sort of keep an eye on it.
Okay. All right, Jonathan. Well, congratulations once again on getting that big win tonight. Good job. And I will drop you out. And I want to talk to your opponent tonight, Kevin Moreno. Kevin, kind of a rough match tonight. I know you really tried to get your points out there. If I could make one suggestion, don't
Well,
give up that 60 seconds, man. Like
what?
it's your time. Don't
Wait,
give it up, man.
it's opening. The first 2 seconds are opening, and that's where I'm like, okay, I need to save my press. So okay, I'll just should mention what I'm doing. That's it. Then I'll use the other other 2 minutes. Then to talk all of that. That's what I could save my breath and go use that time for that, and then argue, then close.
Okay. Hey, it's your strategy. You are free to do what you will, sir. You just threw me off with that at the beginning of the thing, and I had to figure out how to scroll through that damn timer. But yeah, I mean, again, you're a veteran of the league. I mean, you definitely, you're no stranger to the battleground here. Is anything going to change for you going forward? Any strategies, anything like that? What are your plans for the future?
Maybe try and run some new strategies for a bit. Uh, Maybe try to take notes, but just like it sounds like I don't want to take notes while watching the movie, just because I want to keep it focused with that, and also I don't want to maybe try to take notes while not paying attention to the arguments, because I feel like there might be some shit that might maybe could tag some stuff they missed out on.
Yeah. Hey man, but keep your head up high, man. Again, you are a veteran competitor. You do bring good points. You came real close on that first one. You had some really good arguments for Iron Man. You had some good points throughout the whole match. Hey, and from one guy to another, man. If he's talking too long, you cut his ass off. Like I said, and just get your points in there, man.
Stuff like I should already cut him off and stuff. If I can't, I sometimes I will see myself as being rude. I'm like, I can't do that.
Hey, this is the movie Battleground, sir. You be as rude as you want to. Take a page out of my book. If you're rude, you're rude. You do what you got to do, man. All right, Kevin.
Right.
So, all right, Kevin, I'm going to drop you out, man. But good match overall as I will wrap things up here. Yeah, again, two guys who were itching to get that second win. Jonathan, as you could tell here from this match, just came out guns blazing and really had a strategy going in and really hammered it hard. And it paid off for him, getting not only that second win, but getting a KO out of it as well, which is, not really super common here in the Battleground. We see a lot of matches that go 3-1, a lot of matches that go to the blind round. Battleground. Getting a KO is not as as frequent as you might think. So congratulations once again to Jonathan Peck. Thank you to Kevin Moreno. Thank you to the judges, Noah McCausland and Jake Tato, for sticking around. Just a few other show notes before we wrap things up. We are going to make sure you, if you're not subscribed yet, TMG Entertainment, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out everything that's going on in the world of the Movie Battleground. A few reminders of matches that are up. Once again, you can go back and see that big title match between Jay Burns and Amaru Moses. That is a heck of a match that's already been called a match of the year contender. We have myself and Henry Confidential's number one contender match. That is a great one to check out as well. And Movie Battleground is closing in on the 150 match mark. So our 150th match between your usual host, Aaron Knoll, who is not here this evening. He was off taking on Papa West, Jacob Papa West, who a guy I'm very familiar with as well, who I had a great match with. Which you can go back in the archives to check that out. But Aaron Knoll versus Jacob Papa West will be the big 150th match. You can go check out very, very soon on this channel. So look out for that. Thank you once again, everybody, for joining us here on the Movie Battleground. I will wrap things up. My name is Austin Pez Howell. I have been your guest host for this evening. Thanks once again for coming to the Movie Battleground. We will see you next time.